welcome to the Milsurf Mike channel. I know the Area 51 thing is pretty much a dead meme, but remember, it is scheduled for September 20th. My advice is, instead of ingesting massive amounts of Monster, trying to run across 20 miles of desert, and trying to avoid getting shot or worse by the military for cool alien weapons, I suggest you save yourself some trouble and just buy something that looks like it came from outer space, such as the PS-90. As for clapping those alien cheeks, I have no idea what to tell you. Around Christmas of 2016, I made a regular car review style parody video on the FN57 where I went over the history of the development of the round, personal defense weapon, and pistol. If you want to see some cringe, I suggest you check that out, but I'll give you another review here. In the late 1980s, NATO looked to replace the tried and true 9x19mm for pistols and submachine guns. A 1989 NATO document called for the round that had greater range, force, and terminal velocity than the 9mm with the ability to penetrate body armor. The personal defense weapon needed to be light and have at least a 20-round magazine, and the pistol also needed to be light with preferably a 20-round magazine, and both weapons needed to be compact enough to be carried hands-free at all times. FN responded by developing the SS-90 5.7x28mm cartridge and a personal defense weapon in 1990 dubbed the P90. This original round had a plastic core with a muzzle velocity of 2,800 feet per second from a 10-inch barrel. Shortly after, FN shortened the ammo and gave it greater weight with a metal core so it could fit the 5.7 pistol then under development. This ammo was the SS-190, and the P90 was modified to take this new ammo. In the early 2000s, NATO looked to finally replace the 9mm and looked at the merits of the 5.7x28mm from FN and the 4.6x30mm ammo from Heckler & Koch, mainly fired from the MP7. The US, Canada, and UK contingents recommended the 5.7 for adoption, while the Germans blocked this due to their fondness for the 4.6. While both weapons and rounds have been independently adopted in several military and civilian forces, this disagreement is why the 9mm is still standard today. The P90 is a select-fire, straight blowback weapon with a cyclic rate of 900 rounds per minute. It fires from a 50-round magazine through a 10.4-inch barrel. Ergonomics, the ability to operate in tight places, being fully ambidextrous, and simple operations were key considerations in design. The magazine fits flush with the frame and actually turns the cartridge from perpendicular to parallel when it's ready to load. Rounded contours prevent snagging, and the bullpup design meant to keep the weapon from being any wider than most shooters' shoulder width makes it easy to carry in tight places such as a cab, cockpit, or underneath a suit coat, as in the case of the Secret Service. The P90 ejects casing straight downward through a chute behind the grip. As I said earlier, the P90 was adopted by several Special Forces units and civilian units around the world, including the United States Secret Service. In 2005, a semi-automatic version for the civilian market was introduced, the PS-90, which is what I have today. It has a 14.8-inch barrel with a birdcage flash hider as to not run afoul of the NFA's short-barrel rifle regulations. The added length actually increases the velocity of the SS-190 and aftermarket rounds. It is still a lightweight, compact weapon, even with the added length. Takedown is very simple, as it breaks down into 5 components, not counting the magazine. Field stripping the PS-90 is fairly simple, so I'll see if I can do that. Keep everything in angle. First of all, you want to remove your magazine. Just pull these tabs back. There's your magazine up. Pull that. Before you do anything else, you want to make sure you cock it. So that's a must, or you're going to have questions in your head later. There's a button right there. You got to push that down and just pull your, well, the hammer group came out also with it, but your barrel and sight assembly comes out. Your hammer, which is normally in there, when you pull that out, that just comes right out. Your spring and hammer assembly. Next up, you want to get your trigger. If you want to get your trigger pack out, all you got to do is push butt plate up. There's a little lever right here. Pull up on that. That's your trigger pack. And you are fully disassembled. fully field stripped. Putting it back together is also very simple. You put your trigger pack back in. You gotta pull that. See this little. See that right there? Just pull that back up. And put your trigger pack back in. Put your butt plate back on. Make sure I'm doing this the correct way. So your trigger pack's in. You put your hammer and spring assembly back in. Just drops in like that. Grab your barrel assembly. Push that button down. That's back in. And then of course your magazine goes right in there. And there you go. She's ready to go. Once I got the EOTech sighted in at 50 yards, this is an accurate rifle out to that distance. I haven't really tried to stretch it further, but in reality, a personal defense weapon isn't meant to be fired long distances. Perhaps I should take it out when the 100-yard range is free one day. The downward ejection of the brass keeps it from hitting you, and the 50-round magazines seem to last forever, even when doing a dump. The shortness of the rifle and the curves causes you to have a moment to get used to placing your offhand where you're supposed to. You almost have to have some sort of optic on there, as the peep sight is very small and makes quick target acquisition difficult. And the EOTech makes this a bit top-heavy. Quick magazine changes are also on a learning curve. Overall, though, I love this rifle, and if the 5.7 ammo weren't so cost-prohibitive to obtain in mass quantities, this would make an awesome home defense weapon with some practice for an excellent truck gun. Please be aware of where your elected officials and the groups who claim to represent you stand on the Second Amendment. Please join the GOA and your state organizations, and get on the phones to your representatives and senators and tell them not 1 inch when it comes to gun control. If you like this content, please like, comment, and subscribe, as well as check out my other content since YouTube throttles almost all gun-related content. Said content way too many times in that sentence. Also, please check out my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and who I support on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.